Alrighty then, hello everybody and welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. I hope everybody is doing well out there this evening, Wednesday, August 31st of 2022, the last day of August. So when this is going to be hitting your ears, it'll most likely be the first day of September. Dave, things are going by really, really fast. Honestly, I hate that. I know when everyone's like, oh, as you get older, things go by faster, but it's true. And I really don't like that. I'm not going to lie, David. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, things go by very quickly, especially when you sleep a lot. I don't know. I've been tired lately, so there's been a lot of sleeping in my venture.
So again, I'm Alex. He's David. We're the Brothers Cuesta. We are here bringing you all the fun stuff on the Alex Cuesta Show. Like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars. Spread this word of mouth if you like it. Find us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. So we have a fun one ahead of us. First things first, I had to start off by apologizing for my audio. At least in the last episode, if anyone listened, usually I sound much more clear because Dave and I, we tried to do this right. We spent the money, got some decent equipment. We wanted to sound good. We wanted to sound classy. And I went to go, as I'm editing, I listen to a good amount of the playback and I'm sitting there going why the hell do I sound terrible? And it's I try to do what I can to make sound but I sound bad. And then I did my other show with Dave Hyatt, the Talking and Oval show about track and field. We had two of our friends on, two buddies that came on the show to talk some track. And I listened again and I sounded terrible. And then it dawned on me. I used my computer not too long ago to participate in a Zoom meeting. In the Zoom meeting itself, it was for work. I didn't use my mic in my headphones. I just used my regular microphone so for whatever reason, Zoom decided that even though I plugged in all my stuff, it's not going to switch it back to my microphone. So I apologize for my audio being terrible. If anyone that listened, it wasn't, it was okay quality for just if you're using it on your computer, but up to our standards, it was not. So I apologize for that. We strive to have pretty good audio. Sometimes we can't control if the internet's phasing us in and out. Only so much we could do about that. But in terms of the sound of our voices and everything, we try to do well. So apologies there. Dave, did you notice that while we were recording, or did you hear me just kind of normal?
I probably, if I think back to it and I actually listened to it, I probably would say, yeah, I kind of noticed it, but I just didn't actually fully realize. Because most of the time you can notice those audio problems, but it was just in the moment, I just didn't realize that was going on. Also, I don't like how you kind of slyly almost tried to blame Zoom a little bit. Oh, it kept me on my
it was Zoom.
When I chose.
It was Zoom.
It kept me on the input I chose.
So
I get it. You did plug everything in, and usually
Zoom normally switches. It auto switches usually.
Usually things switch. But as a person from a previous generation, you should know that it is your onus. It is on you to make sure that the program understands what you're trying to do.
Yes and no, because I pay money for this program, so I'm paying good money for it. So the basic things like recognizing an advanced microphone should come in, and it usually does. So again, I will say, Dave, let's go this. It is 60-40 Zoom. Because it should work better, but I do have some honest.
60-40s.
It's 60. I'm not taking I'm not giving halfway. Not to something I pay for. I'm not going halfway to something I pay for.
I don't know about that.
Before we get into our main topic, Dave, I just want to talk about Tim Pool has put out a song. This is their second song in the many years. But this song, if anyone knows who Tim Pool is, if anyone listens to Timcast, it is a political show. I guess you could say it's right-leaning, even though Tim Pool is not on the right. But, it's a very... anyone ever listens to Timcast IRL, they do have a lot of people from the right on it because the people from the left have gone insane. But Tim Pool is someone who is an avid supporter of Occupy Wall Street. He has a guy, Ian Krasnell, on, who is certainly not on the right. They're just kind of logical people. But he put out a song, Only Ever Wanted, and it's not a political song at all. It's just a good song. And I recommend if you like alternative rock and things like that, the drummer from The Offspring, Pete Barbara, who was kicked out of The Offspring because he couldn't get the vaccination because he has Guillain-Barré or whatever it is, Guillain-Barré, whatever that disease that was causing issues during the COVID vaccination. He couldn't get it, so The Offspring kicked him out. So he joined up with a group of guys from Timcast. They made a song. It's a pretty solid song. Dave, you listen to that song yet?
Yes, I did. It's not bad. It's pretty good. It's not my favorite, but I think it's pretty good. It's like it's definitely not amateur. That's the thing. Like no matter what it is, you could listen to that song and say, "Hey, I actually kind of like this." It's just not my favorite cup of tea.
Yeah, and I recommend the music video too. The music video is actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You go on YouTube, search Timcast Only Ever Wanted, and it starts off. It's a slower song in the beginning. I liken it to if anyone's ever heard the full song of the house theme song, "Mezzanine" by Massive Attack. It sounds more similar to that, and then it towards the end, the last minute and a half, it gets into a more hard rock sound. So overall, it's a pretty good song. I recommend going and listen to it. I just want to give it a shout out because I think it's a pretty good song, and I like what Tim Pool's doing in terms of getting involved in culture. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to talk about everything and kind of throw ourselves in culture as well. So a little bit of support there for Timcast and what he's attempting to do.
Yeah, I don't mind that, especially because it's not a overtly political song at all. It's just a song. Like, it's not like he's trying to make any statement. No, it's just like a semi-emo song. Like that's all it is.
Yeah, and I was listening, and he said he kind of got attacked by a member of Eve Six. And like they tweeted after the day, it was like banal lyrics and things like that. And all Tim Pool went back and was like, "Hey man, I'm a big fan. I don't care. That's awesome. Thanks for listening." And he deleted his tweet and ended up being like, I was a little bit too rash. Like that was it. So it was like killed him with kindness a little, but like even on that, I listened to the episode following, and Tim Pool's like, "I don't care what they say. I love Eve Six. Like they made songs of my generation. Like I'm cool with that. They can hate it. I still love Eve Six. I'm still a fan of them. Like I don't care about their politics, and I don't care if they care about mine." So it was pretty cool, and I liked it. So go ahead. I give that recommendation there. Me and my wife listened to it. It kind of brought us back to high school a little. Also, Black Bear and the Used made a song, and that song's really good. That's 100% back in high school. So go listen to Black Bear and the Used too. Another shameless plug. So anyway, we're going to jump into the actual meat and potatoes of the show. I guess kind of cultural, yeah, because a cultural phenomenon definitely in the 2000s.
Used to be more of a cultural phenomenon.
Used to be more, and I feel like it could get back to it. Let's see how it goes. But we're going to talk some wrestling. Specifically more WWE. We're going to touch on some AEW a little bit, but mostly WWE wrestling. Our interest is kind of peaked. Mostly David's has peaked because he got Peacock, and
that's literally the reason
he paid for Peacock, and then he saw that like everything WWE is on there. It kind of took over. Basically, if you got WWE Network, you have the same stuff as Peacock, so you can go back and watch pay-per-views from the Attitude Era. You can watch Ruthless Aggression Era. You can watch just random shows of Raw. Like. It's really cool. They have a whole entire archive, documentaries about wrestlers, like the Undertaker documentary that is so highly touted. That's on there. What is it? Is it The Last Ride? I think that documentary was called for the Undertaker.
I think so. Yeah.
That's all on there. It's all on Peacock. And David kind of got obsessed and fell down the wormhole of just rewatching a bunch of things. And then he was like, you know what? Let me jump back in. And you've been watching a good amount of it now. And they just got over the Vince McMahon scandal where it looks like it's getting swept under a rug because he resigned. He's not really involved at all anymore in WWE. I doubt that's going to stay. I feel like he's going to take some time away and maybe come back in some way. He's obviously not the chairman anymore. That goes to his daughter, Stephanie McMahon. Lead of creative is his brother-in-law, Paul Levesque, better known as Triple H. And away they go. I forget the last guy's name. There's another guy who's third guy there.
I can't remember.
Important.
I can't remember.
But there's a 3-team tandem. They kicked Shane McMahon out, which sorry for Shane. That sucks. Shane McMahon's been an integral part of WWE, but I don't know all the ins and outs of Shane McMahon not being included in this, but he's not. But they have a lot going on right now. And Dave, you've been watching it a little more. You've been paying attention a little more. So kind of give me your perspective about what's going on with the WWE right now.
Yeah, this has been, as you stated, a more recent thing because of Peacock. Funny enough, it's not because I pay for Peacock. It's because I have to pay for Xfinity. And because I have to pay for Xfinity, that package came with Peacock. So I was like, let me look at some of this stuff. And I ended up watching some of the little docuseries and documentaries they have on there. One of them being specifically like Monday Night Wars. And it's fantastic. Like it's so much fun to watch, especially me. I'm not old enough to have watched any of the Monday Night Wars. I really watched mainly like ruthless aggression era, basically. And
You grew up
maybe
with Batista basically being your first big time star.
yeah,
with
like
Dave
like
Batista.
Evolution being like the big
Yeah,
kinda
yeah. Randy
contending
Orton,
group.
things like that coming
Yeah.
in. Yep.
Mhm.
Nexus and all that. Yeah.
And so watching all that back, I mean, the same thing happened with like ESPN documentary, like 30 for 30s on bowling, where
Yep.
you get to see how big culturally some of these things were. So, like WWF, because that's what it was. It was WWF.
And I have to
Was
say,
huge.
one of the coolest campaigns they did is once the World Wildlife Foundation sued them and successfully won.
Mm-hmm.
This is how edgy and great WWE was, and when it was WWF, when they changed, the change was so easy because their slogan was "Get the F out." That
Yeah.
was their slogan during the transition: "Get the F out."
Mhm.
And they were officially rebranded as WWE. But there was no real pushback because they knew, they understood their audience, and they knew how to do this type of stuff. I don't know if they could have pulled that off 3 to 5 years ago as smoothly as they did back in the day in terms of such a major change like that. But keep going.
Yeah, no, it's a weird spot to find yourself in when you're getting sued over your name,
And
but they find a way to
You're
do
getting
it.
sued by a panda.
Exactly. But the thing is that's what makes at least wrestling so much fun to me, is that everyone knows it's fake. Like that's not an argument at this point.
It's a male soap
Everyone
opera.
that's watching it, yeah, exactly. But everyone watching it knows it's fake. It's seeing how the stories play out. What are they going to do? And how good are the performers in the ring? Because that shit's difficult.
Yeah.
That is very
fake.
difficult to do.
It's
Yeah.
fake, but they really get fucked up. And I forget
The bumps aren't.
I think it was somebody was talking about wrestling. I think it was Frank Mir. That his name, the MMA guy.
It's Frank Mir.
Frank Mir. And I saw it was like a little clip. It might have been a TikTok, Instagram, or Reel, something like that. One of those nonsense things. And he was being interviewed, and they asked him about wrestling versus MMA because I think he dabbled a little in the wrestling world, maybe did an appearance. And he goes, I respect the hell out of those guys. They work a lot harder than we do. He's like, they have so much more to do. And he's like, and the bumps and bruises they are taking, he said, they're guaranteed bumps and bruises. Where in the octagon, you have more protection because you're fighting, you're protecting yourself. But in the WWE, you are going through a performance and you're getting
going to get slammed
and all that, and you
Yeah.
have to take it. And the stunts that they do. So he said he's like, they're more difficult on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis as WWE because they also don't get a break. He said, the danger, you can't compare the danger to the octagon because you can get your head knocked off. But he also said the dangers in WWE of a guy botching something and you get your neck snapped. He goes, but he said he respects it. And that's kind of what you were saying, that it's real. It might be all scripted, but it's scripted to an extent, though, which you found out watching those documentaries. They know who's going to win or lose sometimes. But in terms of the in-ring chemistry and the performance, that's not fully scripted. They
that's
kind
the
of make it
thing.
up on the fly sometimes.
Their moves, their finishers and signatures and stuff, those are all known.
Yeah.
But for them to get to those points, that's why you see so many headlocks. That's why you see so many of these like little chain kind of wrestling things, because they're figuring out their chemistry. They're figuring out the flow of the match. They're letting things, and it's all a stage play. And it's all a stage play done by these two people doing athletic things in the ring. It's incredibly impressive when you think about it.
It's a thing of beauty when you could see guys that aren't doing all those locks, because they have that great chemistry that they just kind of have a look and they'll know. And the referees play a huge part in it too.
Yes.
Which is so much fun to know that, they're always talking to each other. It is really cool. It's really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
That's the thing, is that like, the more I like kind of looked into the background of it and what is going on in these matches, in these shows, and the things that they came up with and maybe did on a whim, like the whole DX invading WCW is really more on a whim. Like Triple H, at least from the stories I've heard, like Triple H said he made a joke in the room saying, "Oh, I wish I could like take a tank down there," because they were always getting venues next to where WWF was doing shows. Yeah. WCW is like right across the street, basically. So they said, yeah, why not? Let's do that. He said everyone in part of DX was like, wait, no, what are we actually doing today?
And-
when they told him.
And the best part was, too, WCW knew it was going to happen because what people don't understand, and I saw AJ Styles saying this, they want everyone to have animosity towards each other in the different associations. Like the WWE guys don't have any hard feelings in the AEW guys, and the WCW guys, for the most part, and WWF guys didn't have real animosity. Shawn Michaels and Triple H were still best friends with Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, the whole clique. X-Pac was involved in the clique as well. And I saw something where it was like, Shawn called Scott Hall and was like, we're going to be outside of your venue in like 10 minutes with the tank. And Scott Hall was like, no, you're not. And they showed up with the tank. So it's like the animosity between the Monday Night Wars is great because WWF and WCW are obviously competing because they are competitive. And, and even though it's scripted to an extent, winning that belt, whatever belt you're going for, does mean a lot because that means that the network sees you in some light. The company sees you in a light. And I don't know if people know this. The network that they're on has a lot to do with also the programming as well. The networks have a say with what creative is doing and what superstars are going around. And it's a really different world. And it's cool that you got back into it because it helped me start to get back into it too, Dave.
Well, and the thing is like you said, the belts mean a lot, but not only does the company think that you could be a top guy or a top woman, whatever it is, but the fans usually have to think that as well. Like there are times where the company pushes people that the fans may not want, but most of the time the company will end up listening to the fans because it's just such a groundswell that's just like, okay, that's what they want. We're going to move with it. We're going to keep this going. Like Kurt Angle just had like a little basically reunion show because they were in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. And he came out and everyone is chanting, "You suck," because that is his thing.
And like I saw Edge gave him the sign that says "You still suck."
The whole sign
bit fantastic. Yeah, same exact bit.
So, but that's the thing is that the fans, because of that bit with Edge and him saying "You suck" in the first place, like the fans then decided to say "You suck" to him in rhythm with his theme, and it just became his thing. So I don't know. Wrestling is a very interesting entertainment model, sports entertainment model. I actually think sports entertainment works very well as a phrase for it.
Yes.
And overall, it seems that for the time I was gone, the time you were gone, from wrestling, maybe we would be wrong, but it seems like it's been on a downswing. Now, whether because culturally we've changed or because wrestling got a little bit worse, I'd probably argue it got a little bit worse, but I don't know. I wasn't watching it. It's hard for me to say if I wasn't fully watching it. But right now, at least with what I've recently seen, it seems like it's on an upswing. So things seem a little different right now. Like it's going back to not the heyday, but to some creative decisions here being made that remind me of the thing I used to watch.
So from the things that I read in terms of why we seem to see like a mini resurgence maybe going on, as opposed to when we stopped watching, is it seems that the storytelling has gotten better again, where the focus for a little while was more of the product in the ring and less of telling compelling stories, where it seems like, with Triple H's direction, now maybe a month long, he's had creative control at this point. They seem to be allowing them to start to tell stories some more. And with the stories, you get the feeling that there's true animosity amongst these people. Some of these superstars and wrestlers are amazing actors. And you could see that from guys like The Rock, John Cena, even Stone Cold in like The Longest Yard, Dave Bautista over in Guardians of the Galaxy. They have some acting chops. And when you allow these guys to be creative and get into their characters and be who they are, and then create very real looking animosity when they're doing their promos and things like that. And we're going to cut to a promo soon where you can kind of hear that animosity coming through. And it's a very interesting thing that they're starting to do again, because in the end, what we're watching is a dramatization of a fight in the ring. And we're watching that, and that's why guys like it, because it's a fight. So guys are fighting, and yes, there are times where two guys, and you see it in real life, two guys will start off angry, fight each other, and shake hands at the end because it was a good fight. You both punch each other's face in, but not all the time. And there's got to be a storyline as for why. Just chasing the title isn't good enough. Sometimes there are real rivalries. Well, one of the best of all time involved Edge, where Edge took Lita from Matt Hardy, and there was already that buildup between the Hardys and Edge and Christian. And Lita was Matt Hardy's girlfriend in the ring and in real life. And then Lita went to Edge, and I believe that even happened in real life too. So the animosity became semi-real, but they had great chemistry and there was good storylines. The same thing before Test passed away. He was getting a big push, him stealing Stephanie McMahon from Triple H, when everyone in the wrestling universe knew that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were legitimately married and were happily married from all things we knew. But the fact that the storytelling was so good, and the McMahons and a lot of that generation was willing to do this type of stuff, where they were willing to put the romantic relationships aside to make these type of stories. And, even the kisses in the ring, it was like similar to being in a movie set where you watch it, like the kisses in the ring, and they were a lot more scandally clad back then. So, even to the point where, like I said, real life relationships had the woman going with somebody else and then she'd be down to her knickers. Like it was a raunchy story, but there was a story there and it was compelling and it made you interested to see how the feud was going to end. For a little while there, it was chase the belt, chase the belt, chase the belt. Less about stories. You had your good storytellers. You had your good promo guys. The anger was still there. I'm going to whoop your ass was still there, but it was less of an actual reason for it happening. It's from everything, from the little bit that I saw, I still watch periodically, and from a lot of things I read, the complaints were, this feud does not make sense anymore. What is going on does not make sense. It's not believable. Why should I care about this feud? And I think that hurt a lot of the championships too, because Universal Championship, the Universal Championship and WWE Championships for the longest time were the only two things that mattered. Finally, it looks like they're going to start to push the Intercontinental and US Championship again, which is great, because that's great for the mid-card guys and to push them and see who has the chops to maybe jump in. So it looks like there might be some good. Now, I was worried about the PG era coming back, because we talked a little bit on the show that they were going to go PG-13, and we were pumped because we thought, they'd be able to go back and really get to it. And then it came out and they said they're PG again. I had my doubts, Dave. Did you have your doubts that it still maintaining, being good and going and getting in a good direction?
Maybe slightly, but because I've been watching it, I've been seeing some of the upswings that's been going on, and I've been seeing some of the creative decisions they've been deciding to utilize, like having things going on in the background with this whole Dexter Lumis return. Like there's always something going on in the background of Raw and maybe SmackDown sometimes. He's mainly on Raw. But like Karrion Kross coming back was a surprise. Like everyone coming back, that's been a surprise. Like some of these promos that they've either allowed to happen or that they've written very well. Like Kevin Owens going back to basically the prize fighter. And there's so many things that they're doing that seems much more correct and much more like, okay, we're allowing people to be their own again. Like we're allowing fighters to have their full names again, because there is a time where Austin Theory was
call themselves wrestlers now, because
they can call themselves
Vince
wrestlers.
is gone. They don't have to call themselves superstar. And there was no, which is interesting. I read something. There was no big memo put out, but I guess enough of these guys know Triple H and they know like that's not a big deal to him.
Yes.
Where it seems like Vince micromanaged a lot.
And that's what seems to be what happened during this era. And listen, whatever you want to say about Vince, he's the guy that brought the product in the first place. So
when they were
I can't.
failing. He brought
Exactly.
them
So
up and made them into this.
I can down talk him in multiple ways, but in that way, like Vince is still high up there on a damn mountain.
He's the god
But-
of sports entertainment.
Yeah.
There still is. He is the Mount Olympus.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But the issue seems to have been is that he micromanaged too much. Maybe he just didn't trust people enough to cut the right promo or to do the right thing in this situation. I don't know. But Triple H seems to say, basically kind of going back to a slight attitude era decision here of saying, listen, guys, like, this is you go out there and do your best, like the best you can with what you have, because this is your ability. You've trained for this. Like, so I'm going to allow you to be a little more free, which seems to be working now. So I'm very interested. I know we're going to show this promo coming up.
Bit, yeah.
Well, not a promo, and slightly a promo, but
It's definitely a
either
promo
way-
by two skilled guys that are
Yes.
at promo. Yeah.
yes. But for me, it's just like you're allowing guys who weren't as good on the mic, a la Roman Reigns, not as good on the mic, who has gotten better, and you could see it now because you're allowing him to speak like he wants to more. You're allowing him to be more of just himself, just who he is as Roman Reigns. And then you're also giving guys like Seth Rollins, who have always been dynamite on the mic, to just go out there and do this. Him and yet again, like Kevin Owens, who's always been good on the mic. You just let him go out there, say what you want to say, cut the promo, get everyone excited.
Yeah. In this era right now that we're in, CM Punk would have thrived because one of his biggest issues was the micromanagement and a lot of things that went on. Now, I have to ask you this about Vince, and maybe because you watched it a little more, and maybe you can think about this. So he definitely micromanaged. Has it been his failure, because this is ultimately on him, to really put Roman Reigns over as the main guy? Because to this day, Roman Reigns is not over as the main guy. Listen, Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre are going to go at Clash at the Castle this weekend. I don't know anybody that is rooting for Roman Reigns to maintain his Universal Championship. Everyone wants to win.
I would say that right now, especially, is because Roman's held the belt for so damn long. Both belts, I should say, for so damn long. But
nobody wanted to see Roman Reigns win a match he didn't deserve to win again.
In the initial pushing of Roman Reigns, I would 100% say, like, there's no point to it. I will say that in overall, it seems like, they didn't have any of those really large guys like WWE always has. Roman Reigns is one of those really large guys. Drew wasn't back at that time, and who else do they have? Well, Braun Strowman. Like, that's it. Are you going to give Braun Strowman the mic? Not as much. Like, he's not the worst, but he's not great. But the thing is that Roman is a big guy, bloodline, just connected to The Rock in some way. Like, he looks the part. So they pushed him too hard. And I will say that the whole acknowledge me thing doesn't work anymore for me. I want him to stop saying it.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, like, to have him say that in the first place works. In a wrestling aspect, it works, especially when the fans might not like you as much. Saying something like that, antagonizing the fans, like pushing towards them, that's wrestling 101. That's something that you do in order to just at least get a connection there. So Roman is a very interesting animal because now he's pretty damn over, but us of our age are tired of seeing him win because he's had both belts for a while now. And just the last fight with Brock Lesnar, I mean, that was a lot of awesome.
It was a
moments
great show,
in that.
but a terrible finish.
But it's just like, did everyone have to come out to help Roman win again? And I guess maybe it's a setup because I think they want Drew to win in Wales. Like, they think that'd be awesome. It's just like, so I think that's probably why they did that, which I kind of understand. But either way, it's just, he's held the belt for so long. We're tired of it. It'd be nice to see him do something else because he's not even on the program. Well, he's on it more now coming up to Clash of the Castle, but he wasn't even on the program that much where other guys were. So he's a very interesting case. And I will say there are some things where it seemed like Vince was pushing people who maybe the fans didn't want yet, but he was, I will give him this, like, yeah, you might not want Theory that much, but at least he's pushing someone a little newer. At least he was. I mean, Triple H is still
and
doing
Austin
that.
Theory has skill too. He's not a bad guy to push. He's not a bad guy to push.
Exactly. And so Vince had a lot of weird decisions. Yeah. Like the 24/7 belt. I mean, it's fine as a bit, but I feel like every wrestler knows that once they're going for that, they're kind of regulated to low
hardcore title again. Except they're not called the hardcore title. It's the same exact
thing.
And if you don't make it fun, if you don't cut randomly and go to do it and have anyone just get their ass beat in the middle of the street, like that was the fun of it. But it's a bit. It's not a big deal. You have a few guys that you label as hardcore, real guys, 24/7, always ready, and then you just let them go with it. Hardcore, Bob Holly, Hardcore Holly, ended up making the rest of his career out of doing things like that. Now, I think the biggest issue with Roman Reigns to me, and someone who watched The Shield initially come, I was still watching wrestling by the time that The Shield became a thing, and they started to come out. And The Shield was, man, you want to talk about one of the funnest stables to come and take everything on right away? Like, I think New Day has been the best stable, with obviously being Big E's injury. Like, there is no New Day right now, really. But, New Day got over eventually because they figured out something well. But the Shield was over immediately. They had a mean streak. They came out from the stands. They just whooped everyone's ass. And that was fun. And, Roman Reigns doing the big power bomb to everybody. But here's the problem. I think out of all three guys, picking Roman Reigns was the wrong one. Dean Ambrose at the time, who's now Jon Moxley over at AEW, to me, Dean Ambrose was a logical guy to bring up. And I think everyone and their mother thought that Dean Ambrose was actually going to be the one that got pushed. And then Seth Rollins was very good and he was going to get there. And Roman was just going to be the big, strong dude. I think that's kind of where everyone thought it was going to go. And all of a sudden, here's the only guy who's not good on the mic out of that whole group now getting pushed because he's related to The Rock. Like, that's honestly what I think hurts him the most and what hurt him then. And any fans that have been watching from now on, we're still tired of Roman Reigns. We're tired of Roman Reigns because we just feel like he's not a bad wrestler, but did he really earn this? When you got in, and the Shield was fun because Seth was amazing on the mic. Dean Ambrose just looked crazy and was great on the mic. Roman Reigns was the muscle of that group. He wasn't a star. So it was like you go and you take, you take the guy that is just there to throw people through a freaking table. And all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that he's the leader. Like, they had no leader of the Shield, but he didn't say anything. He just yelled a lot. He was quite literally a Dragon Ball Z character powering up every single time. And I mean, and that's who you push. And I feel like that might have been Roman's biggest issue. If this was the plan, then they should have been his minions. And they, he should have just been, even if you want to make him the strong, silent type, they should have at least answered to him. And I feel like that was a big problem. And they never even got around to the point where, okay, you want them to come in unified at first, but then eventually you start to see Roman's the man of the pecking order. Okay, cool. And now he's the big superstar. Now it makes sense. It didn't make sense to push Roman Reigns the way they did. It just didn't. And to me, that hurts him to this day, because I still look at him and I think, and I've told you this before, he's going to go down as one of the least liked and probably the worst face of wrestling since the faces have gone around. Because, John Cena was the face. I feel like Randy Orton for a little bit. He's been the interim face a few times when they've been like trickling in. But you have John Cena, you have The Rock, you have Stone Cold, you have Dave Bautista, you have all these guys, and Roman Reigns doesn't add up to any of them, and he's nowhere near it. Even though he has this great title run, you can't put him near any of those guys. And even CM Punk, when he had it, CM Punk is a much better face of the company. That's my problem with Roman Reigns, and that's why I kind of will never be a fan of him.
No, I get that. I mean, I was like somewhat still into it, the Shield.
Yeah.
When they came along, but I fell off before they broke up, I think. I want to say, I don't remember. Either way, but I get that feeling. I really do. It's just watching it, and I'm watching.
Go ahead. You go.
I'm just saying, watching it more now, it's just like, objectively speaking, at least for me, I would say, maybe not objectively, but for the way I see it, is that I can at least see the improvement that he's made to try to fit the damn shoes, to try to fit what they're doing for him. And I think he's done a pretty damn good job getting to that point. And now, like, is he one of the weakest that we've seen to get to this top of the mountain? I think so. I mean, it has to be all said and done in order to say this. But he's also going against, like you said, guys like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan. Like these are huge faces that you can't really touch in the first place. So it's a difficult thing to do. And that's just the way I'm looking at it. It's just like, I don't want to hate on Roman Reigns because he is putting in a damn good ton of work, but I completely understand where you're coming from.
I respect
where Roman. It's just like, where it's just like, you're just like, oh man, I didn't want to see this guy be pushed this much in the first place, and now he's had both the top titles for like 2 years. So it's just like, what are they doing? Do they not have anyone else? Like, that's the question that you ask yourself.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that.
I fell off when I think he got his second or third unnecessary push. And it was just kind of like the creative was just obviously forcing Roman Reigns to win things and to get to the point and win the championship and this and that. And it was like, that's when I was just kind of like, I can't watch this. Like, as much as the other belts matter, the champion runs the show. The whole entire fun of the whole thing is to find out who's going to vie for that heavyweight title. Now there's two, so they always have it separate and then they unify it. That happens every once in a while. Just Roman, again, it's all undeserved, and I like it better now because they're doing more. But yeah, it is kind of a little bit. It's still shaky until Roman loses the belt. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be fully invested, and I hope they're smart and they give it to Drew McIntyre. And as much as I'm not a Drew McIntyre fan, but it's a different face.
And yet again, I will say, just watching McIntyre and Sheamus work in the ring, I can't. McIntyre is actually ridiculously good. I mean, I love Sheamus. He's an unsung hero of WWE for me right now. But McIntyre's he deserves the top billing he gets now. Yeah.
So again, like we talked, I was worried about the PGR, right, Dave? I was saying to you, I was nervous. I did not watch the first Raw under Triple H's like full tutelage, right? You sent me a clip. It was a promo of Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins, and it's just a cut of it. It's not the full promo, but what was said here now gives me full faith in what's going on.
I do want to say this isn't the first one. This is a while after Vince left, but this is just the last Raw that happened.
This is the last one. Yeah. This is the last Raw that happened, and these two are going to have a match at Clash at the Castle coming up this Saturday. So this is the buildup, and they always do buildups like this. And just listen into what was said. If you have any doubt about whether or not wrestling's edge is going to be put back into it, just listen to this.
Here, we talk about my family, man. Let's talk about your family. Oh, well, you ain't got one because your wife divorced you and took your kids, and they don't want to see your bitch ass anymore, huh?
What did you just say?
Yeah, you heard me.
Where are you,
bitch?
Where are you?
I'm here. Come find me.
Dude, you don't get. I'm not gonna beat you up. I'm gonna you up, bro. Where the are you?
All right,
where are you?
Come find
Where
me,
is he?
Come
Where
on.
are you? Dude, you don't get. I'm gonna smash your face in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Keep playing games, bro. Keep playing games. I'm gonna you up.
And just from there, and if you could watch it, go on WWE's Twitter and look at this. Whether or not there is any real animosity, seeing Riddle get as emotional and upset as he did, hearing Seth Rollins say what he did and say they don't want to be with your bitch ass, we have not heard this type of promo, this type of animosity in a really, really long time. And Seth Rollins being the likable villain is so good for him. Is so good for him. And I'm I am pumped to see him and Matt Riddle's match on Saturday. I am going to watch Clash at the Castle. Clash at the Clash at the Castle.
There you go.
I cannot do the English. Clash at the Castle this Saturday. And I want to talk about their card a little bit that they have come up. I found it. They have a pretty good card, Dave.
Yes.
They have a pretty good card. So starting off, Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss in a triple threat against Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. Now, people don't know, Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky have been walking around as a trio, and they're just kind of cause mischief. And I really kind of like the new Bayley coming out. Like, she's still the same Bayley, but she's not. And it's pretty cool. That should be good because there's a lot of talented wrestlers involved in that.
That should be really good.
Yes.
Plus, I will say, I believe Sasha Banks and Naomi are now back into the internal roster.
Yes.
So do not be surprised if you see them come back at Clash.
Absolutely. The next match, in this match, I am really excited for. It just got put in Clash. Edge and Rey Mysterio are teaming up again, and they're taking on Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Dave, number one, Edge and Rey Mysterio together again. They are former tag team champions together. They have one of the greatest chemistries together. They're amazing. And what an opportunity for WWE to put Judgment Day over.
Then they will.
To put Finn Balor and Damian Priest over, and especially Finn Balor, who always has the potential, but never seems to fully reach it in terms of what he can be in the storyline. That's going to be a great match.
Yeah, and I'm already seeing what's probably going to happen because they've had this storyline going for a minute now, especially with including Ray and Dominic in there. But Dominic, he hesitated to hit Rhea Ripley on Monday with the kendo stick. So something's going to happen. Dom's going to join Judgment Day. I already can see, I can see that kind of coming in some way. I don't know, but either way, that match looks like it's fun as hell. I will say I have one qualm with Judgment Day, and it's maybe it's because Ripley might not be fully cleared to take bumps and stuff. Yeah. But she's just not getting hit at all. She comes out there have been times where Ray jumped in, he caught them all by surprise, hit them with chairs and stuff like that, and then Rhea just pops up just so he doesn't hit Finn, and he just doesn't hit her with a chair, and it's just everyone knows Rhea Ripley's a good wrestler. Everyone knows that she's causing all this mischief to you. Why wouldn't you just hit her with a chair? It's probably because she's not fully medically cleared or something like that. That's probably the reason why. It's just an annoying part of the storyline. It's just just hit her, dude. What are you doing? She's been destroying you.
She's kind of playing what the China role was with DH, where the male wrestlers didn't know what to do with her for the most part, because it's she wrestles the dude, she beats our ass, but I still don't want to hit her with the chair. She's still a woman. So they're kind of doing a good job with that because it's kind of believable. They're not going to knock Rhea Ripley in the head. Yeah. Even though she's tough as nails and they've had her beaten up on the dudes before. I mean, if it's not within a bell, and even in the mixed tag, they still don't wrestle her. She hits them. They won't hit her for the most part. So I could see them doing a good job using her as a shield because I don't think she's medically cleared yet, but it is cool to use her as a shield. It's a smart prop. Yeah. The next match we talked about, we saw the promo, Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle. That's not going to disappoint because they are two very skilled.
Should be at least a 4-star fight.
I think we could be looking at the match of the night. I really do. I think those two are good enough to put on a match of the night. Anytime Seth Rollins is involved, if the other person across from them is skilled and can work well, it could be the match of the night because Seth Rollins may be the most skilled wrestler in the whole organization right now. He's always puts on a great show. Next match, you talked about Sheamus, and we talked about the importance of the Intercontinental Championship coming back. Yes. Yeah. Sheamus versus Gunther, and Gunther is a great newish comer. I know he's been around for a little bit, but he's getting a nice push. I think he's going to win this Intercontinental Championship, and to have the
he has it.
He has it. Yeah, have this feud with Sheamus, who has been in the world title and obviously is a great worker. He has no problem dropping down and competing for U.S. championships and Intercontinental championships. So that's going to be a great match there. Dave, do you think Gunther's going to retain it, or they're going to change belts? What are we doing there?
I think he will retain it because he has a couple names under his belt right now as Intercontinental. Like he just beat Nakamura on SmackDown not too long ago, which is a big name, but it was just on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So you want to get a big guy who's been in WWE for a while. Like Nakamura has been, but he hasn't been I would say he hasn't been at the level of what Sheamus was, because Sheamus was a champion that was knocking John Cena around.
And I'm sure
like that's a
Sheamus
pretty
get the Universal
big spot to
at
be
one
in.
point. Was
I don't know about
unified? Was he the unified champion at one point?
No, I think he was just WWE champ. I can't remember.
But he held it for a little bit too.
But either way, he was knocking around John Cena. Like he was actually squashing John Cena in some matches.
Yep.
That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So to be at that height and to beat someone that was at that height is good. So I think he will. I think Sheamus will do the job for Gunther at Clash, and I think that's just fine.
Yeah. Next match, Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler. The storyline with Liv Morgan, I don't know if it's working for me, Dave. I don't know if I like the kind of accidental champion, confident but coy. Like,
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
She's hot, so that's what she has going for.
Yeah. But I will say that, like, they're trying to find a direction, and I think they're trying to find it with Shayna's help here to like what's actually going to happen. Because now Shayna's been targeting the limb because she does have a UFC background, she has an MMA background, so she's been targeting the limb. She's coming in as like the big bad that just wants to go for the limb and just wants to destroy Liv. So I think that they're going to try to use this to actually push a babyface moment, because what happened with Ronda was not really a babyface moment. It was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
You know how fickle WWE fans are. So you know that after that was going to happen, she was going to get the chance that she got. Was it deserved? Probably not. But either way, it was going to happen. So I think this is going to be their chance to really push the big babyface comeback moment for Liv Morgan.
Are we going to get a Ronda appearance at here? Is she going to jump in, be done with her suspension, and then come in and kind of DQ the match? And Liv will hold it on that sense, but I'm coming for you. Type of deal?
I feel like there's definitely a possibility. They've been doing a lot with cops recently. Mainly with the Loomis storyline, but she also was arrested, quote unquote, arrested at one of the SmackDowns. So I think that she does end up showing up probably at the end of the fight, and the cops take her away again or something like that.
Okay. So last match, we talked about Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. I'm not a fan of kind of either, but I will be happy if Drew McIntyre takes the belt. I've seen that there's a lot of rumblings that he is going to take the belt, that there's a lot of that talking over in creative. I mean, what do you think? Are we going to get disappointed again?
No, I think this is the perfect dude. You're in Wales. Drew McIntyre is actually English. Like, well, not English, but you know what I'm saying. He's from the UK.
Yeah.
So
UK guy.
Yeah. So like, this is the perfect chance to have a really big moment over there. It'd be really awesome. He's been beating the ever-loving hell out of Bloodline, other than like the last Raw, but that was it. Like every time he's seen the Usos, he's just beating the hell out of them. So like he's had great moments. They're setting it up that he's actually going to take this destiny. So I hope that it goes over well. I hope there's a part of me that's hoping it's clean. Yeah. I don't want it to be too messy. Like, I want it to be a clean win, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know, because I think they also want to split the belts in general. I think they don't want both belts to be held by one person anymore, which I completely understand. So how they do it, I don't know, but I'm hoping that it's cleaner than it is kind of a mess.
That's how you kind of have the telltale sign when the challenger is going to beat somebody like a Roman Reigns who has a stable, because usually right before the pay-per-view, the stable goes and tries to assert their dominance and kind of all steps up and mud stomps him to finish out a show. And like, which is kind of what happened to Drew. They all came out, they kind of whooped his ass. Now, like, he has the reason to be even more hungry for the belt. All the storyline goes in. I feel like he's going to overcome everybody. I feel like that's kind of, the Usos are going to come out and try and do what they do. Roman's going to be hurt. And I feel like Drew is going to be the guy that, keeps the Usos at bay, and we might have some surprise to maybe come and help him out
Mhm.
to keep the Usos at bay. And I do think it's going to be a clean win if he does. And my last suggestion to WWE, if you're really tired of Liv Morgan, just give me Mandy Rose. Just bring me Mandy Rose.
The Toxic Attraction tag team of the stable did come up for the tag team tournament, so they all might be coming up soon. I don't know. Either way, I have seen. I mean, it's probably. I don't think it's actually rumors. I think it's people hoping, but I have seen people talking about the Fiend possibly coming, or just Bray Wyatt possibly coming back in some way. A clash. I don't see how they fit it in really at all. Maybe like a small video promo or something like that happens randomly, but I don't see how they fit it in.
Which would be all I need.
It would be all I need. It'd probably be really cool.
Yeah.
It'd probably be really cool, but that's the only way I see it happening. Because honestly, I don't see it coming. I don't see him coming into that championship bout even at the end of it to like make his presence known.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening and going well. Exactly, because you literally just had Karrion Kross come back and attack Drew McIntyre to set that up in the first place. So, or to set something like that up in the first place. So the Fiend or Bray Wyatt coming back at this time to insert himself in that way doesn't seem like it would work. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do it well. I don't know. I don't expect them to come back at all. But maybe they do and they do it well. I have no idea. I'm not in creative for that reason. Either, but right now it just wouldn't seem like the right time.
It wouldn't make sense to me because, like you said, if you want to do something like this, you should probably do it clean. And bringing in somebody like the Fiend will overshadow a Drew McIntyre's moment if he is to get one. If Drew McIntyre was to do this and defeat Roman Reigns and end this run, you want to make it so it's pretty epic and it's pretty clean and that it's something where he can have his moment. We could stand on that ring apron, hold up both belts, and and the pay-per-view ends with a panning out shot of him with his fans, with his people, raining him with cheers. The Fiend would take away from it. That would make sense to maybe do it earlier or just start Raw off with it that next day. Not even with him, just maybe a great promo, which he's known to do. Bray Wyatt's one of the best promo guys around ever, actually. One of the best of all time.
Just have Firefly Funhouse come back.
Or do something. I don't think he's going to come back. I think he's going to come back with something new if he does. And I did see rumors that Braun Strowman might be back in negotiations with the WWE. So we could be getting.
I feel like literally everyone that has been out of the WWE recently has been in rumors because Triple H is now at the head of it, which maybe some of it is true, some of it's not. It's very hard to just see it and be like, oh, yeah, exactly. Because he's brought so many people back that it's just like, it's kind of believable, but that he would just be reaching out to everyone.
Yeah. So I'm going to give a little shout out. A website that I like to go to get some wrestling news, stillrealtous.com. I saw them. They started off as like a little Facebook thing and he opened up. It's Josh Foster. He writes a bunch of it. He does a good job of scouring the wrestling world of all the news and writing small articles and putting it into concise places so you don't have to follow 1,000 of them on Twitter. It's actually pretty cool what he does. So I'm giving him a shout out. Now, before we close out, Dave, we didn't touch on AEW at all. I want to touch on it quickly because one of the things I read is there's some problems with AEW and not necessarily problems. There is a problem. It is the man in charge, Tony Khan. From what I've read a few places, he just kind of shoots from his hip with almost everything going on. And it makes me feel bad for some of the guys there that are doing a good job, that are really fighting hard, like your Jon Moxley's, like your CM Punks, like your Bryan Danielson, like those guys who are veterans and going out there, and even some of the younger dudes that are talented there. And, some of the women, they have a great women's division in AEW. They're putting their blood, sweat, and tears in this. And you have a guy shooting from the hip who should know better. And it seems like AEW might be in trouble because they're now getting a little stagnant. And the pop is gone. And now WWE had got the pop back with Triple H being announced. They had a really good Raw with officially Triple H's full direction on this Raw, apparently, in creative. This was him completely, no more transition. And what does AEW do now? They need to respond. Like this, if you want to be in this battle, if you want to be the WCW to the WWE, you got to respond now. You got to do something big to keep your fans engaged. And from what I read, Tony Khan kind of does things like, I want JR to call the full Dynamite. No, now I only want him to call the second hour. Oh, no, no, he's going to call the whole thing again. And when he's asked about it, if this is going to be permanent, his answer is, let's see where this goes. And that's not a way to run a company. And especially a promotion which relies on scripting and storytelling and things like that. So, I mean, I feel bad for a lot of the guys on AEW because, Chris Jericho stuff. We grew up watching these guys, Jeff Hardy. Mm-hmm. And guys that are very good that I'll watch an AEW show just to watch them. Sting's there. Like, they have a lot of good talent on that roster and good young talent. And it would just be a shame to see it run to the ground. Like, Eric Bischoff, Vicky Guerrero, where are you? Go kick Tony Khan out. Go save that promotion, because I feel like those are two people that could do a good job and really make AEW something, in my eyes. I don't know if you have a different view.
It gets difficult. I don't watch any AEW, just to be fully clear on this. I don't watch it.
Search for it, but if I catch it, I'll watch it.
But it's not because I don't like it or anything. It's just I'm bad at watching things in the first place, and WWE is lucky I'm watching it now. But just they owe that to Peacock. But I don't watch any AEW. But I have heard of some of the issues, and I've seen some of the good things, and now I've seen the bad things that have been happening recently. Because really, it's been recently that all the bad things are kind of coming together, and of course, that's also happening at the time where WWE seems to be on an upswing. So they have a lot to really worry about here. Now, I have seen some things come out where people, I don't know, maybe they're just trying to dissuade some of the bad press. But like CM Punk saying he's actually fine in the locker room, like there's nothing actually going on.
And the tag team that he works with, they both did interviews talking about just how good of a guy he is and how he's willing to help out any young guy. Like, if someone has a question about a match, he'll drop what he can, get in the locker room, watch the match, give him pointers. Like, they're painting him as the good veteran.
Exactly. And he might, I don't know, he might be. I have no idea. Yeah. The thing is that, like you said, the owner really means a lot when it comes to these businesses. That's why I said, like, you can put as much bad juju on Vince as you want. From a wrestling perspective, I mean, you could also say whatever you want about the allegations that have happened. I don't know too much about them, and I didn't look too much into them, because however that works out, it's going to work out.
Yep.
But you could put as much onus on whatever you thought happened to WWE for a while on him as much as you want, but he built it up to that point. Now, whatever help he had and whatever he did to do it, you could say maybe you don't like it, or maybe you don't like some of the things he took from other people, but he still built that company the way he did. I mean, it takes a lot to be in charge of a business for as long as he was, and to have it running that well for that long, because it was damn near over with in the Monday Night Wars and then it comes back in order to take over and then actually buy out his competition. Yep. That is extraordinarily hard to do. And then to keep it at a level where, hey, yeah, it fell off culturally, but it also was probably the biggest thing in America culturally for a little bit. I mean, to hear stories about Steve Austin coming out, you just hear the glass breaking and the stadium's vibrating because of how much people are going nuts inside of it.
And if that's smell
exactly, but that's insane to think of for any kind of event to happen. Yeah. And that would happen on almost every damn Raw. Like, that's ridiculous to see. So the owner really does mean a lot, especially if the owner is hands-on, and Tony Khan is being hands-on. So every single mistake he makes is going to compound. Yep. That's the issue here. Yeah. It's not that just like, oh, it happened and that's going to linger. Some linger, some don't. But the issue is that people remember slightly. They just remember that something was off. They might not even remember the mistake. They remember something was off. This is different. And I still don't like it. I don't like what is happening here. So all these mistakes compound. And if you're not in control of your locker room, if you're not understanding what your wrestlers want and also what your fans want, like, there's so much shit you have to take control of that I don't think he was necessarily ready for. AEW got a big boom because you had a lot of big names going over in the first place. And yet again, WWE was on a downswing. It was not the powerhouse it was. It was still big, but not the powerhouse it was. Because I can't remember who said it, but even right now, AEW is nowhere even in the league of WWE. They're not in the league of WWE right now.
They're not in the league
They're
of TNA.
trying.
They're not what TNA was
Yeah.
either. Like, they're really not.
But they're trying to be.
Yes.
They're trying to be, but having these issues right now is not helpful. Now, whether or not Tony Khan can learn from it, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know the guy from Adam. So that I have no idea whether he'll actually sit down and think about what the hell he's doing. But this is not good to have when who you would see as your competition is on an upswing, because they damn sure don't see you as competition.
Certainly. Yeah, no, WWE's not worried about AEW in any way, shape, or form. Now, last question before we close out. Back to WWE real quick. One of the things that turned me off from WWE when I was watching and I stopped is they stopped changing the belt, especially the heavyweight belt on Raw and SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see the championship matches anymore. And you used to get those a good amount.
On the brand shows. Yes.
Brand mattered. Raw mattered.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown mattered.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't just seeing, a tag team championship or a women's championship or even an intercontinental championship. The main event would be a rematch from Sunday night's pay-per-view. Or the belt again. Or a few weeks later, you'd get the belt up for it. Like, the champions defended the WWE title pretty frequently on Raw, especially. And do you think Triple H is going to get back to that? Because I feel like that helped a lot when you couldn't miss a Raw. You couldn't miss a SmackDown because you might miss the championship belt changing hands. And that was really important and really interesting. Do you think we're going to get that a little bit back? Do you see us going towards that direction with the way Triple H is doing things?
If they do break up the belts from Roman, there is a possibility of it. And that's another thing that's probably why people don't like Roman very much right now. Well, some people might not like Roman very much right now because I'm pretty sure his merch sales are huge. People definitely do like him.
They do.
But is that both big belts are on him, and he's only going to be really fighting to defend these belts at the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's stagnation there. And now there's been stagnation there for a while. So it's just like, okay, we need these off of him, not because it's him, but because it's just been there for a while. We need these off of him, and we need these split up so that the brand could have the mountainous amount of storylines that they used to have running at one time, because those belts can add a lot to the storylines, whether it's just a one-on-one rivalry or triple threats or fatal four, like
We used to do all
huge
that
things
stuff
that could be happening
on
That's
Raw
what I'm
and
saying.
SmackDown. Yeah.
Exactly. So like you could have a lot of big things happening with these belts, and also now you could have people dropping from intercontinental and US and other things, because once they drop from there, if you really want to push them for the WWE championship or the universe, whatever it is now, because they might even be changing it soon, I don't know. But if you want them to go for the bigger belts, you could have them drop the intercontinental and go for it. It's not just, they're going to have to start a storyline with Roman Reigns or anyone else that holds the two belts. No, now they can start it with whoever has the belt at that time on their brand.
So I blame Chris Jericho in the end for being the first ever unified champion. It's his fault. His fault, undisputed champion. But yeah, first ever undisputed champion. But yeah, all right, Dave. We packed a good amount of wrestling talk into the show.
We did.
I found it fun. I hope it was interesting for everyone else out there. And if you don't like wrestling, go get Peacock and do what David did, and then learn to like it after watching.
Like I said, the documentaries are a lot of fun, mainly because you get to see the behind the scenes. I heavily recommend Monday Night Wars. It's an older one from like the 2000 something. I don't know. You can tell it's older, but they start off. This is my final word, by the way. Don't go to me again. But they start off
talk to me
with exactly. They start off with basically what happened Monday Night Wars, and they give that like 2 to 3 episodes, like beginning, middle, end. Yeah. And then they go through like the big things and the big people that mattered during the Monday Night Wars. So like they'll actually go and talk about The Rock during this time and how he started and what he mattered to the Attitude Era in the Monday Night War. The Stone Cold Steve Austin. They'll talk about the Click. They'll talk about so many things. and they all get their own episode. So I thought that was just really, really cool to see. And just to see the ins and outs of what the hell was going on here. Because that was a big moment in American culture. And it's just these two big brands going at each other. And it's awesome to witness. It's awesome to watch history like that happen.
And, the cool thing is, since WWE owns WCW, ECW, and all that now, you get perspectives from everybody, which is nice, which is really cool. And I forgot to mention, if you want to go back and watch WCW and ECW stuff, that's also on there.
Yes.
You can go, if you love Starrcade and you really like that, you can go watch all the Starrcades, the December to Dismember. Like, they're all there. So you can enjoy all that. If you're just an old school wrestling fan, you don't want to watch any of the new stuff, still worth grabbing Peacock. Peacock's actually solid. It annoys me that we have to get so many streaming services that we might as well get cable again, but I digress.
It's just cable package.
It is cable.
It's really funny.
Yeah, it's the same exact damn price as cable. All right, everybody. I really appreciate everyone for listening. And if you like what you heard, please like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth, and go find us on the socials at The Alex Cuesta Show. We will be back next week with another fun-filled show. Everybody, so long.